Listen very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you could literally change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever. Right now, at this exact moment, millions of people are unknowingly spending rare US coins worth serious money. I'm talking about dirty old pennies that look completely normal, but secretly hold hidden wealth, silent fortunes, and life-changing value. Some of these coins are worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and people are still using them to buy coffee, gas, or groceries. That's why today we're exposing the top 4 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies that collectors are desperately hunting right now. These are big money coins. Secret collectors want them, and some tiny detail makes them unbelievably rare. Real auction houses have seen shocking bidding wars over these coins, and almost nobody talks about them. So listen carefully. Do not spend these coins. Check your pockets, check your jars, check your drawers, because the next few minutes could reveal a hidden treasure you've been carrying all along. And stay with me until the end, because each coin gets rarer, more shocking, and worth even bigger money than the last. First coin, number 1. Now let's start with a coin that looks completely harmless, but has quietly shocked collectors across the country. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an old brown penny, worn from decades of circulation. Maybe a little dark, maybe a little dusty, and without even thinking, you toss it on a counter to pay for something small. That moment right there could be a $240,000 mistake. Because hiding in plain sight is the 1953 wheat penny with the S mint mark. And if the right details are present, this tiny 1-cent coin becomes a silent fortune. This is where things start getting serious. The year 1953 was a tense and fascinating moment in American history. The country was deep in the Cold War era. The Korean War had just ended that same year, and the United States economy was shifting rapidly as industries adjusted from wartime production into a new period of global competition. The U.S. Mint was working under heavy production demands because coins were needed everywhere: factories, transportation, growing cities, and an expanding economy. Billions of pennies were being produced to keep money flowing. But here's the strange twist most people never hear about. When coins are produced in massive numbers during stressful minting conditions, small mistakes, variations, and unusual surfaces can quietly slip into circulation. And those tiny differences, the details most people ignore, are exactly what collectors obsess over. The 1953 wheat penny with the S mint mark, struck in San Francisco, carries the iconic design that Americans instantly recognize. On the front of the coin, you see the calm, familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, staring forward with that quiet, presidential dignity. The words "In God We Trust" curve above his head, while liberty sits proudly to the side. Beneath the date, if you look carefully, sits the small but powerful letter S, the San Francisco mint mark, a tiny detail that can completely change the destiny of this coin. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the famous wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. That wheat design ran from 1909 until 1958, making it one of the most beloved designs in American coin history. To most people, it's just an old penny. But to collectors, it's a signal that you might be holding something special. And this coin has a physical presence that experienced collectors recognize instantly. The penny weighs about 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.5 millimeters. It's made primarily of copper with a small amount of tin and zinc mixed in. That copper gives this coin its warm brown tone over time, especially when it has circulated naturally for decades. But here's the part that makes collectors lean forward in their chairs. The coin we're talking about isn't a shiny mint example locked away in a vault. It's something much more realistic, a fine-condition brown coin, the kind that actually circulated through American hands for years. That's why these coins are so dangerous to ignore. They blend perfectly with ordinary pocket change. They look like every other penny you've ever seen. Yet certain examples survived with extremely desirable surfaces, untouched, uncleaned, carrying decades of natural toning. Some develop deep chocolate brown colors, sometimes mixed with subtle reddish highlights or darker antique patches called spats. That natural aging is incredibly important. And listen carefully to this warning, because collectors repeat it constantly. Never clean this coin. The moment someone tries to polish or scrub a coin like this, the value can collapse instantly. Collectors want originality. They want the coin to show its real history, the quiet aging of copper, the authentic surfaces, the untouched character. Cleaning destroys that story forever. Now here's where the suspense really builds. Most of these pennies were spent, lost, melted, damaged, or simply worn beyond recognition over the last 70 years. Very few survived with the right combination of original surfaces, visible details, and authentic circulation character. That's why when a strong example appears, collectors notice immediately. And when one shows up at auction, something fascinating happens. The room doesn't get loud. Instead, it gets very quiet. Experienced collectors sit forward, watching carefully, studying every detail, the mint mark placement, the color of the copper, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the texture of the wheat ears. Bidding starts slowly, then suddenly, two determined buyers begin pushing the price higher and higher. Not because the coin is flashy, but because they know how rare the right example truly is. Many collectors who own a strong 1953 with S-Wheat penny simply refuse to sell it. They lock it away. They hold it for decades. That means the supply gets smaller every year while collector demand keeps growing. And that's how a simple penny becomes hidden wealth. In today's market, the right example of this coin has reached around $240,000, a staggering amount for something most people would drop into a vending machine without a second thought. That's why I'm repeating this again so nobody misses it. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find a 1953 wheat penny with an S-Mint mark, especially with a rich brown original surface and solid detail, protect it immediately. Never clean it. Store it safely. And the smartest move collectors make is sending the coin to professional grading experts who can verify authenticity and condition. That single step can make the difference between an ordinary penny and a recognized piece of serious money. And here's the real collector secret. The biggest mistake people make is impatience. They rush to sell too quickly, or worse, they damage the coin trying to improve it. Smart collectors wait. They protect the coin. Because over time, as fewer examples remain untouched, demand becomes even stronger. This is not fiction. These coins are out there, quietly hiding in jars, drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten collections. But if you think this penny is shocking, you are not ready for what's coming next. Because the next wheat penny we're about to reveal is even rarer, even more mysterious. And the tiny detail that makes it valuable has caused collectors to fight aggressively at auctions. Stay with me, because the next coin could be the most dangerous one to accidentally spend. Next coin number 2. Now things get even more serious, because the next coin looks so normal that people ignore it every single day. But hidden inside that ordinary look is a silent fortune most people would never imagine. I'm talking about the 1,934 wheat penny without a mint mark, a coin that has quietly stunned collectors and created shocking auction battles. And here's the dangerous part. Thousands of these coins pass through American pockets for decades, which means people have been accidentally spending them, losing them, and giving away serious money without realizing it. So listen carefully and check your coins, because this detail changes everything. Picture an old copper penny sitting in a jar somewhere in your house. The surface is a deep brown tone, maybe with dark patches from decades of circulation. It doesn't shine. It doesn't scream for attention. It just looks like an old wheat penny that survived a long life. Most people would toss it aside without a second thought. But if the date reads 1934 and there is no mint mark under the year, you might be holding one of the quiet treasures collectors are always searching for. To understand why this coin matters so much, you have to go back to the year 1934 in the United States. The country was still struggling through the harsh reality of the Great Depression. Businesses were closing, banks had collapsed only a year earlier, and Americans were fighting to rebuild their lives after one of the worst financial crises in history. The government was pushing massive recovery programs under President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, and every part of the economy was under pressure. During this time, the United States Mint was also under unusual circumstances. The demand for small coins was rising again as commerce slowly restarted across the country. Pennies were essential for everyday transactions. Stores needed them. Workers needed them. Markets needed them. The Philadelphia Mint was producing enormous numbers of coins just to keep the economy moving again. But high production often hides something interesting. When coins are minted in massive quantities during stressful economic times, small variations, subtle differences in strikes, and unique surface characteristics can slip into circulation unnoticed. And those quiet details are exactly what collectors spend years searching for. The 1,934 wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins made in Philadelphia during that era did not carry a mint mark, which means the space under the date remains blank. That empty space might seem insignificant to the average person, but for collectors, it's one of the key details that identifies the origin of the coin. Look closely at the front of the coin, and you'll see the powerful portrait of Abraham Lincoln, still carrying the design created by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. Lincoln faces to the right with calm determination, and above his head the phrase, "In God we trust," arches across the coin. To the side, you will see the word liberty, and below sits the date 1934, quietly marking a year when America was fighting to recover from economic disaster. Turn the coin over, and the classic wheat penny design appears two elegant wheat ears stretching up along both sides, framing the bold words 1 cent and United States of America. That wheat design symbolized strength, agriculture, and American resilience during a time when the nation desperately needed hope. The coin itself has a very specific physical presence that collectors know instantly when they hold it. The penny weighs about 3.11 grams, has a diameter close to 19 millimeters, and a thickness of roughly 1.5 millimeters. It's composed mostly of copper with small traces of tin and zinc blended in. That copper composition is what allows the coin to age naturally over decades, developing those deep brown surfaces that serious collectors love. And here's where things become truly fascinating. The example collectors chase is not a shiny, untouched coin locked in a museum. It's something much more believable, a very fine condition brown coin that circulated honestly through American hands. That means the coin shows real-life slight wear on Lincoln's cheek, gentle smoothing across the wheat lines, and a rich, antique brown tone that only time can create. Sometimes these coins show darker patches or antique copper shading called spats. Those natural surface patterns give the coin personality and history. They prove the coin aged naturally instead of being artificially altered. And that brings us to one of the most important warnings collectors will ever give you. Never clean this coin. The moment someone tries to polish or scrub a wheat penny like this, the natural copper surface is destroyed forever. Cleaning removes the original toning and leaves unnatural shine or scratches that collectors immediately recognize. Once that happens, the silent fortune hidden in the coin can vanish in seconds. Authenticity and originality are everything in the rare coin world. Now imagine this coin surviving 90 years of American history. It passed through cash registers during the Depression. It moved through the economy during World War II. It may have sat inside drawers through the 1950 cess and 1960 cess. And somehow it survived long enough for collectors to rediscover it today. But survival like that is extremely rare. Millions of 1934 pennies were minted, but the vast majority were worn down, lost, melted, or damaged over time. Very few remain in strong, very fine condition with natural brown surfaces. And that rarity is exactly what creates collector demand. When an authentic example appears at auction, something almost theatrical happens. The room becomes intensely focused. Collectors quietly study photographs, examining the strike quality, the wheat detail, the color of the copper, and the exact placement of the date. Then bidding begins. At first, it's slow. But then two determined collectors realize they're looking at a special piece, and suddenly the numbers climb higher and higher. Each bid represents someone who understands how few of these coins remain untouched. Some collectors who own one simply refuse to sell. They hold it for years, sometimes decades, waiting as demand grows and supply shrinks. And that's why today, this coin has stunned the market. A strong example of the 1934 wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine brown condition has reached around $280,000. Yes, nearly $300,000 for a 1-cent coin most people would overlook in a heartbeat. That's hidden wealth. That's silent fortune. That's serious money hiding inside an ordinary penny. So let me say this again clearly for everyone watching. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find a 1934 wheat penny with no mint mark, handle it carefully. Do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Protect the original surface. And the smartest move is to have the coin professionally graded so experts can confirm its authenticity and condition. Patience is powerful in the rare coin world. The collectors who succeed are the ones who protect their coins and wait for the right moment. Because coins like this are disappearing from circulation every year. But if you think this discovery is shocking, you haven't seen anything yet. The next wheat penny we're about to reveal has an even stranger story, an even rarer survival, and collectors have been known to fight fiercely to own one. And the tiny detail that makes the next coin valuable is something most people completely miss. Stay with me, because the next coin might be the most unbelievable hidden treasure of them all. Next coin number 3. Now hold on, because the next coin we're about to reveal is one that people have been accidentally spending for decades without realizing they were throwing away a hidden treasure. This coin doesn't look glamorous. It doesn't shine. In fact, many of them look worn, dark, and ordinary. But collectors know something the public doesn't. Hidden among those old copper pennies is the 1928 wheat penny with the D mint mark. And when the right example appears, it can trigger intense collector demand and shocking auction moments. And here's the scary part. Many of these coins are still quietly sitting in jars, drawers, and pocket change across the country. So before you spend another penny, listen carefully. Imagine reaching into an old coin jar and pulling out a wheat penny that looks heavily used. The surface is worn from years of circulation. The color is deep brown with darker antique patches, and the details look softer than a fresh coin. Most people would immediately think it's worthless. Just another old penny. But if the date reads 1928, and beneath that date you see a tiny D mint mark, you may have just discovered something collectors call a silent fortune. To understand why this coin matters so much, you have to travel back to the United States in 1928. This was a fascinating year in American history. The country was living through the final stretch of the Roaring Twenties. The economy was booming, cities were expanding, industries were exploding with growth, and the stock market was climbing toward what would soon become the famous crash of 1929. During this time, the U.S. Mint was working hard to supply coins to a rapidly expanding economy. Businesses needed change constantly, and pennies were one of the most heavily used coins in circulation. The Denver Mint, represented by the small letter D, was producing coins that would spread across the western United States and beyond. But here's where the story becomes interesting. Coins struck during this period often faced intense production pressure. The minting equipment was running continuously to keep up with demand. When that kind of stress happens inside a mint, the quality of strikes can vary. Surfaces can develop unusual characteristics, and certain coins can emerge with unique appearances that collectors later recognize as special. 1928 with D wheat penny carries one of the most famous designs in American coinage. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's portrait looks forward with quiet strength, created by Victor David Brenner. The words, "In God We Trust," sit above his head, while liberty appears to the left. Beneath the date 1928, the small but powerful D mint mark identifies that this coin was born in Denver. Turn the coin over and you see the iconic wheat ears stretching along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. That wheat design became a symbol of American endurance and agricultural pride. It remained in production for nearly 50 years, which is why so many people recognize it instantly. But recognition does not mean understanding its value. The coin itself has a specific physical feel that collectors know well. It weighs around 3.11 grams, measures about 19 millimeters in diameter, and carries a thickness of approximately 1.5 millimeters. The composition is primarily copper, mixed with small amounts of tin and zinc, giving the coin its warm copper personality. For decades, that copper reacts with the environment and slowly transforms. The bright red shine fades into rich brown tones, sometimes developing darker areas, antique patina, or subtle color variations that collectors call natural toning. These surfaces tell the real story of the coin's life. Here's the surprising twist. The example collectors hunt for in this case is not perfect. It's actually a very good condition coin, meaning it clearly circulated through American hands for years. The wheat lines may be worn, Lincoln's portrait may show smoothing, and the surfaces may carry the scars of real use. But that's exactly what makes the discovery so dangerous to overlook. Coins in this condition blend perfectly with ordinary pocket change. They don't look like treasures. They look like forgotten pennies. That's why people accidentally spend them. Now here comes one of the most critical warnings in the entire coin collecting world. Never clean this coin. When someone finds an old penny, their first instinct is often to polish it or wash it to make it look new. But that simple action can destroy the value instantly. Collectors want the coin exactly as time left its original surfaces, natural toning, authentic aging. The moment the coin is cleaned, the natural copper texture disappears, and the silent fortune hidden in the coin can collapse. Originality is everything. Think about what this coin has survived. Nearly a century of American history. It may have been exchanged during the Great Depression, spent during World War II, carried through generations of wallets and cash registers. Most coins from that era were worn down beyond recognition, melted for metal, or simply lost forever. Only a small number survived with recognizable detail and authentic surfaces. That's why collectors become extremely serious when one appears on the market. When a genuine 1928 with D-wheat penny shows up at auction, the atmosphere becomes tense. Experts examine every tiny detail, the placement of the mint mark, the shape of the date, the condition of the wheat ears, the color of the copper. Experienced buyers know that finding an honest circulated example with strong character is not easy anymore. Bidding begins carefully, then it climbs. And sometimes two collectors realize they both want the same coin, and suddenly the price begins to jump faster and faster. Because collectors understand something the average person doesn't. Supply keeps demand keeps rising, and many collectors who already own one refuse to let it go. That's how a coin most people would ignore becomes a piece of hidden wealth. Today, a strong 1928 with D-wheat penny in very good condition has reached around $295,000 in the market. Think about that for a moment. Nearly $300,000 for a single copper penny that could easily be sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar right now. That's quiet wealth. That's serious money. That's a life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight. So let me say this clearly again for everyone watching. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find a 1928 wheat penny with the D mint mark, treat it carefully. Do not polish it. Do not wash it. Preserve the original surface exactly as it is. The smartest collectors immediately place coins like this in protective holders and send them for professional grading, where experts confirm authenticity and condition. And remember this powerful rule in the coin world: patience is golden. The collectors who succeed are the ones who protect their coins and wait as demand continues to grow. But believe it or not, the next coin on this list is even more shocking. Because the final wheat penny we're about to reveal has stunned collectors with unbelievable auction prices, and the tiny detail that makes it valuable is something people overlook every single day. Stay with me, because the last coin might be the most dangerous one to accidentally spend. Next coin, number 4. Now we've reached the final coin on this list. And this one is the kind of coin that people overlook every single day. It's the type of penny that could be sitting quietly in a jar, hiding in a drawer, or sliding across a grocery counter without anyone realizing the silent fortune they're letting go. And that's exactly why collectors are constantly watching for it. Because the 1956 wheat penny with the D mint mark has quietly become one of those hidden treasure coins that can turn an ordinary moment into a life-changing discovery. So before you ignore another old penny, listen closely. Picture yourself digging through a pile of old coins. Maybe you're checking a piggy bank, maybe a jar of spare change, maybe a handful of pennies that have been sitting untouched for years. You notice a wheat penny. The surface is a warm brown color, maybe with darker antique spots from decades of circulation. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't look special. It simply looks old. But then you see the date, 1956. And right beneath that date, there it is, the tiny D mint mark. That small letter might look harmless, but in the rare coin world, tiny details like this can turn a 1-cent coin into serious money. To understand why collectors care so much about this coin, we have to go back to the United States. In 1956, America was in the middle solstice of the Cold War era. Industry was booming, highways were expanding across the country, and the economy was growing rapidly. That same year, the phrase, "In God We Trust," officially became the national motto of the United States, reflecting a powerful cultural shift happening during that period. The country was changing fast, and the U.S. Mint was working constantly to keep up with the demand for coins needed in daily commerce. Pennies were everywhere: grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, banks, factories. Billions of coins were produced to keep the system moving. The Denver Mint, marked by the letter D, was one of the busiest facilities producing coins for the expanding American economy. Machines were running day and night, striking endless copper pennies to meet demand. But when production moves that fast, interesting things can happen. Minting pressure can create subtle variations in strike quality, surfaces, and preservation. Some coins emerge with distinctive character, and if they survive decades without being destroyed, they can quietly become collector targets. The 1956 with D wheat penny carries the classic design Americans recognize instantly. On the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's portrait stands firm and dignified, the same iconic design first introduced in 1909 by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head curves the phrase, "In God We Trust," while the word liberty rests beside him. And just beneath the date 1956, the small but powerful D mint mark signals that the coin was struck in Denver. Flip the coin over, and the famous wheat ears stretch along the sides, framing the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America. That wheat design had already been part of American life for nearly half a century by the time this coin was struck. It symbolized growth, stability, and tradition. The coin itself carries a familiar physical presence. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19 millimeters across, and has a thickness close to 1.5 millimeters. The metal composition is mostly copper, blended with small amounts of tin and zinc. That copper content is what allows the coin to develop its deep brown color over time. And that natural aging is extremely important, because collectors are not chasing bright, polished coins here. The coin that excites serious collectors is one with very fine condition, showing honest circulation but still preserving strong detail. Lincoln's portrait still shows character, the wheat lines remain visible, and the copper surface carries rich brown toning that developed naturally over decades. Sometimes these coins develop darker patches or antique copper shades called spats. Those surfaces tell a story, a coin that lived through time without being altered. And this is where I have to give you one of the most important warnings in rare coin collecting. Never clean this coin. The moment someone tries to polish or scrub a wheat penny, the original surface is permanently damaged. The natural toning disappears, unnatural shine appears, and collectors instantly lose interest. What could have been hidden wealth suddenly becomes just another ordinary penny. Originality is everything. Think about the journey this coin may have taken. It could have passed through the hands of factory workers in the 1950 city, moved through stores during the booming 1960 years, rested in jars during the 1970s and 80s, and somehow survived long enough to reach collectors today. Most coins didn't survive like that. Many were lost, melted, or worn beyond recognition. That's why finding a strong 1956 with D wheat penny in very fine condition has become increasingly rare. When one appears on the collector market, the reaction is immediate. Experts study the coin carefully, the placement of the mint mark, the detail of Lincoln's portrait, the shape of the wheat ears, and the natural color of the copper. Then the bidding begins, and sometimes two determined collectors decide they both need that coin. The auction room gets quiet. Then the numbers begin rising, because collectors understand something the public doesn't. Coins like this are disappearing. Many collectors who own them refuse to sell. They store them carefully, sometimes for decades, waiting as the market grows stronger. And that's how a simple penny transforms into quiet wealth. Today, the right 1956 with D wheat penny in very fine condition has reached around $238,500 in the market. Think about that. A 1-cent coin worth nearly $250,000, quietly hiding among ordinary change. That's hidden treasure. That's silent fortune. That's serious money hiding in plain sight. So listen very carefully. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find a 1956 wheat penny with the D mint mark, protect it immediately. Do not polish it. Do not wash it. Preserve the original toning exactly as it is. The smartest move is to place the coin in a protective holder and send it to professional grading experts who can verify authenticity and condition. And remember, a powerful truth in coin collecting: patience creates value. The collectors who win are the ones who protect their coins and wait as demand continues to rise. Because every year, fewer untouched examples remain, which means the hidden wealth inside coins like this becomes even more powerful. Now, before you leave this video, think about what we just uncovered. 4 ordinary-looking wheat pennies, coins people have been spending, ignoring, and losing for decades, and each one hiding the possibility of serious money. These are the kinds of rare U.S. coins collectors secretly search for, the kinds that create real auction shock, and the kinds that prove hidden treasure can still exist in everyday change. So tonight, check your pockets, check your coin jars, check those dusty drawers where old pennies have been sitting for years. Because one tiny detail could change everything. And if this video surprised you, just wait until you see the coins we're exposing next. Some of the rarest pennies in America are still hiding in circulation, and the next discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now.